All right, today we're diving deep into Palvella Therapeutics. This is a biopharma company that has just been lighting it up with some huge announcements. We're going to break down their breakthrough drug, their big picture strategy, and what the future really holds for them. You don't have to take my word for it. Their own founder and CEO, Wes Kaupinen, called 2025 a landmark year. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. The company just knocked down several massive milestones, and it's really setting the stage for an even bigger 2026. So, to really appreciate why Palvella's progress is such a big deal, we gotta start with the problem they're solving. Their focus is on rare diseases. And believe me, that's one of the toughest arenas in all of medicine. Palvella's main target right now is a condition called microcystic lymphatic malformations. We'll just call it microcystic LMs. It's this rare genetic disease that leads to these persistent, disfiguring lesions on the skin. And for the people who have it, it is a lifelong battle with, get this, 0 FDA-approved treatments. None. And I really want to stress, this is not just a cosmetic thing. For patients, this is a brutal, daily reality. We're talking about lesions that get worse over time, causing constant leaking, bleeding, and pain. They also come with a high risk of really serious, sometimes even life-threatening infections. The hit to a person's quality of life is just immense. Now, you hear rare disease, and you might think it only affects a handful of people. But look at this. Palvella estimates there are over 30,000 diagnosed patients just in the US. That is a lot of people dealing with a serious condition who have absolutely no approved options. The unmet medical need here is just enormous. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a tough one. But this is where Palvella's story takes a really exciting turn. Because after laying out this massive challenge, it looks like they've come up with a seriously powerful solution. Their lead drug candidate is called QTORIN rapamycin. And the key thing here is that it's a topical gel. Now, why does that matter? Well, instead of a pill that goes through your whole body, this is designed to be applied right on the skin. It directly targets the genetic pathway that's causing the problem right where the problem is happening. It's a much more elegant approach. So the big question is, did it work? Well, the results from their massive phase 3 study were, frankly, incredible. A full 95% of patients who were evaluated saw an improvement. I mean, in a disease with no other treatments, a number like that is a huge, huge deal. And we're not talking about just a tiny improvement either. This was a profound effect. A staggering 86% of patients were rated as either much improved or very much improved. That tells you this is a truly meaningful benefit for these patients. But this next number might be the most powerful one of all. When the main study was over, 98% of the patients chose to keep taking the drug in a follow-up study. That's nearly everyone. It's a massive vote of confidence from the people who matter most, the patients themselves. It shows you they and their doctors saw a real, lasting benefit. So you score a home run like that, right? You'd think the company would just put all its energy into that one drug for that one disease. But nope, that is not Palvella's strategy at all. For them, this is just the beginning. The company has this fantastic quote that says it all. QTORIN rapamycin is a pipeline and a product. What does that mean? It means their core technology isn't a one-hit wonder. It's a whole platform that they believe can be used to treat many other diseases that share a similar genetic root. And this all plugs into their bigger strategy, what you could call the Palvella playbook. It's a really smart, repeatable model. First, they find serious, rare diseases where patients have nothing. Then, they look for diseases where there's already some human data suggesting a certain approach might work. Then, they bring in their special QTORIN platform for that targeted topical delivery, and by doing this, they can get into these uncontested markets in a way that's much faster and cheaper. And you can see this playbook in action right here. QTORIN rapamycin is already being looked at for 2 other rare conditions. Plus, they're developing a whole new drug, QTORIN pitavastatin, for another rare skin disease. This is how they build out that pipeline and a product and really scale up their impact. Of course, amazing science and a brilliant strategy don't mean much if you don't have the cash to make it happen. So that brings us to the business side of Palvella. Right after those amazing phase 3 results, Palvella went out and raised a ton of money. They ended up with a pro forma cash position of $274 million. That is a massive war chest that gives them a really long runway to get things done. Now, if you looked at their latest earnings report, you might see they missed the earnings per share estimate. But context here is absolutely everything. The company explained that the miss was because they were spending more on R&D,
On the very clinical trials we've been talking about. So it's not a sign of trouble. It's an investment in future growth.
So what are they going to do with that $274 million? Well, it's all mapped out. They have the cash to get their lead drug all the way through FDA approval and launched in the US. It'll pay for the next big phase 3 study, and it'll support a bunch of other programs. Basically, it takes money worries off the table and lets the team just focus on getting the job done. Okay, so we've covered the disease, the drug, the strategy, and the money. The last piece of the puzzle is what's next? What should we all be watching for on the horizon? The company is heading into a period that is just packed with catalyst. They've got their big meeting with the FDA coming up this quarter. Then they expect to submit the full drug application in the second half of this year, and that's when they'll kick off a bunch of other trials too. And then the big one, a potential FDA approval in the first half of 2027. It's a really clear, exciting timeline. So when you step back, Palvella seems to have all the pieces in place, right? They've got a drug with absolutely stellar data, a platform technology that can scale, and a bank account that's fully loaded. The only question left is about execution. Can they deliver on this incredible promise, both for the patients who are waiting and the investors who are watching? It's going to be a fascinating story to follow.